On that, we're going to just run right off the top of what did we pick on the, you're not even like.
My favorite, my Neutrogena Hydro Boost, which is in a ballet pink. That's one I normally buy.
That's what you, how come there's 87 of them in the Neutrogena Hydro Boost thing? That's totally impossible for us retarded half of the population to deal with.
But
You got to turn your mic on,
my mic is on.
It wasn't on there.
Oh. Okay, well, let me redo it. Neutrogena Hydro Boost and Ballet Pink.
There you go.
And to answer your question, why isn't this working? They make so many different colors because a woman has so many different moods.
No.
Right?
Never noticed that before.
Nailed it. I think your speakers are on. Can you mute them, please, sir?
Do my what?
Your speakers.
They are off now.
Thank you.
No echo. Sounds better.
We don't like echo.
We'll be joining Facebook Live.
As soon as I get done typing.
Here in a second.
Trying to multitask. I'm not doing very well at it.
Of that. I thought you women were expert multitaskers.
Where's the jingle palette at?
Where's the jingle palette? Is you go down here.
Anyways, we didn't get to National Days, so we'll have to cover that on Friday.
And, we went to Windows 10, so it's in a different spot.
All right, well, apparently we have time for National Days. But I didn't pull them up.
See if
I really do like this lip gloss, though. It's like, sometimes, I don't know if you had this problem, Roy, but sometimes when you put lipsticks on, or like stains or any of those like matte kind of colors.
I was just thinking about that the other day.
They really dry out. You know how you get that dry lips?
Palette.
National Days. Today is, we'll go with, National Potato Day. Who doesn't? I love potatoes. I have such a bad potato
So how do you
habit.
open this?
You know what tomorrow is?
No.
Move. Tomorrow is National Radio Day.
Oh, there it is.
There you go. Go ahead and intro us in when you're ready.
Are we on?
We are live on Facebook.
Alrighty. Here we are. There's that funky slide guitar music comes on every day. Every Monday through Friday. I always say every day, but it's every Monday through Friday live on Newswire, broadcasting both on Facebook and YouTube. How come we're not rolling in the Twitch thing?
Don't ask too many questions at once, please. I got a lot going on. No, Twitch, you can't. We can test it. I'm not going to do it right now, though, but maybe I'll come in on a weekend and we'll run it. But Twitch doesn't like you going live on multiple platforms. You either are on Twitch or you're on other stuff, is what I've heard. I personally have not tested it, and I still need to kind of tinker with it a little bit because your account's not up to par. Because I want high standards for our viewers. I do have them.
Why isn't my account up to par?
It doesn't like you.
Well,
no, I'm still.
That's a big club.
I'm still trying to
on multiple platforms. You either are on Twitch or you're on other stuff, is what I've heard. I personally have not tested it, and I still need to kind of tinker with it a little bit because your account's not up to par. Because I want high standards for our viewers. I do have them.
Why isn't my account up to par? Trump was on.
It doesn't like you.
No, I'm still.
That's a big club.
I'm still trying to
on multiple platforms. You either are on Twitch or you're on other stuff, is what I've heard. I personally have not tested it, and I still need to kind of tinker with it a little bit because your account's not up to par. Because I want high standards for our viewers. I do have them.
Why isn't my account up to par? Trump was on.
doesn't like you.
today.
No, I'm still.
That's a big club.
I'm still trying to on multiple platforms. You either are on Twitch or you're on other stuff, is what I've heard. I personally have not tested it, and I still need to kind of tinker with it a little bit because your account's not up to par. Because I want high standards for our viewers. I do have them.
One time it did have like an orange tint to it, so the whole orange man thing got done that. No, that's their whole, they have nothing. And this is what I want to get to you for all you Democrat supporters, left wing, or that. Go back to Obama. Well, and I've said this, it's been a monolithic president since Poppy Bush, Clinton, George W., Barack Obama. Trump's the one who's broke the cycle on this. They've all talked, we've spent trillions, in the trillions of dollars overseas, nation building, everything else. Bush has never took us out of that, always expanded it. Clinton and Obama expanded it. When Pelosi got control of the House back in 2010 and said, and that was her whole campaign is we're going to get out of the Middle East, yada, yada. And when she got control of the House, zips out of nothing. Trump's pulled us out of that. He's extending the sanctions against Iran and said our troops should not be in there. We've wasted too much money, time, and effort on that. Trillions. You want to know why your schools that you're not being able to attend are in disrepair and your roads are screwed up and you don't have this and we don't have all the things in America, your water systems are up, your wildfires are out, you turn on the power and if you can get it, you're paying twice as much for it, is because we built those facilities off of our shores to the trillions. That's not being talked about in the debates or in the news lexicon or nothing else, which it should be.
Oh, I gotta send you. Did you watch that video I sent you?
Yes.
Oh my gosh, that interview.
That's the whole enchilada of what's going on. So it's very, very, very,
asinine?
Yes.
Can I say that?
You did.
Yes. I know, but am I allowed to? Anyway.
Sure. I mean, most of the stuff gets the rules have changed a lot on what you can and can't say.
I know.
Of that.
But why isn't, I mean, you bring up a good point. Why isn't that talked about? I mean, somebody like me that doesn't follow politics a whole lot and the way they word things, it's trickery. But why aren't they ever honest? But I mean, then no one would ever win.
You got that part figured out, right?
I kind of answered my own question.
Yes, you definitely got that part figured out, right? Of what's going on.
Hey, Simone, today your mom's birthday?
Yes. Happy birthday! Happy birthday, Mom! And guess who else?
Happy birthday, Ann!
Guess who else's birthday it is today?
I don't know whose.
Longtime guest we've had on the show many, many times, and owner and chief cook and bottled washer of Hemedai News, Eddie George's birthday is today. On that. So yes,
happy birthday, Eddie. More importantly, happy birthday, Ann.
Yes, happy birthday, Mom, on that of doing that. And I'm not going to say how old she is, but because that usually gets you in a lot of trouble on the retarded half of the population. So of that, but no, good thing you mentioned that because if you wouldn't have, I'd have probably really been in big trouble.
Well, I turned my mic off, so I shouldn't hear me mention it. But now you just kind of told on yourself. You totally remember, Dan.
Of that, but no, it's something else of what's going on, but no, we're gonna get into that part of it, and I said it a little bit yesterday, just for an official announcement.
You're running for mayor.
No,
presidency.
That's already done with. You're already.
Oh, you can't do that now.
No, long time, I was on Moreno Valley Matters back in,
What's that?
2016. Yeah, that's a Facebook page by Deborah Curry.
I'm just kidding.
Was on there in 2016. She started a page called Moreno Valley Politics Matters because she wanted off the page. And I've been an admin on that up until last week. So I'm no longer officially on that when Deborah Craig threw me off, as she did with that, on everything else. I invite, and the whole flap of the whole thing really doesn't matter. But what it did was sparked, and it really sparked a couple weeks ago. Ed Hoffman, who owns Wholesale Capital Corporation in Moreno Valley. If you're if you're headed east on the 60 freeway and you're getting off at Heacock, you see that billboard up there that runs on that? That's Ed Hoffman's place, W Wholesale Capital. It's got a flashing billboard that runs messages.
Off the 60 and what?
Yeah, as you're getting ready just to go off on the Heacock off ramp. He's actually on Oliver Plaza on there. That's his place. He said, because he's got his own show, and I'll mention he runs his own show on 590 on Saturday morning, I think from 9:30 to 10:30.
Really?
But he's involved in politics, been involved a long time. Comments on the page and everything else. About 3 weeks ago, he said, "Is Amber Rochelle a real person?" And I flipped back, yes, she is. In fact, she's been on my show. Laura Martin dug out the time when Deborah and Amber were on the show in January of 2019.
Ah, that was a while ago.
So when you go back to this stuff, and I'm going to play the first clip. This is almost to the end of the show. But we were going, because Amber's always on this systemic racism. It's a racist country. The blacks all get picked on, yada, yada, yada. And I put out, and we will post a link to the whole show that you want to verify all this stuff and do this. And it's very entertaining of what went on. But because it's almost 2 hours. But as many times over the years, I pointed to the statistics. And this is a statistic. Blacks are about 13% of the population. They commit about 50% of the violent crimes at about a 400% clip of their population. So, of course, they are going to be arrested, in jail, incarcerated, and convicted at a much higher rate. That's just the facts. You're going to see, if you run in the videos and stuff, she says, well, this is the statistics of that, and then she says, well, you can't believe statistics. This is the kind of people you're dealing with on this stuff. But I asked her about the systemic racism, and I said, can we agree, this is towards the end of the show, and we're going to run it backwards. But I said, can we agree that America is not, after I went through the definition of systemic, which means whole, I said, can we agree America is not a racist country? And more important than that is the Black Hebrew Israelites, which is a totally racist organization of that. And I said, can we agree to that they are racist? Because she says, you have to be white, whatever she considers that to be racist. Nobody else can be racist. And you're going to see the big frown and the shaking of the head when I bring this up. So here we go. Here's about 15 seconds of the clip of Here We Go.
And I think that,
yeah, the biggest problem, like I say, is all this goofball.
Hate is hate.
No, the stupid rhetoric. Like you said. When you say, if you approached it and said, yeah, there's little pockets of racism. Okay, let's just take the extreme. Let's take the KKK and you got the Hebrew Brotherhood or whatever the hell they are. Yeah, we see examples of a few freaking nutcases. That is not systemic racism. America is not a systemic racist country. By any standard imagination, nothing. So let's knock off that rhetoric. Can we at least agree with that? You have you've said this is probably the most diverse country. There, did you see that? When I said, can we agree that America is not a systemic racist country at whole? And can you agree that these guys, the Hebrew whatever, and I think they're Hebrew Israelites, but she knew what I was talking about on that. Can we agree that they are racist? And you saw the big frown and the shaking of the head. And I wanted to play that. That was towards the end of the show because we're going to go back to the original discussion about systemic racism. And I said it on the show yesterday. That's why I said I was going to point it out of what was going on. And I said, you're going to be shocked at what I said and what I predicted back in the January of 2019 and see if it didn't come to, see if isn't that what we are living right now. Because it's the minions, in my opinion, and I invited both Deborah and Amber to come on the show or give them an opportunity to give their side of the story, and they both declined. Here's the first one in 2008. Racist black Hebrew Israelites are becoming more militant. This is from the Southern Poverty Law Center, one of the farthest left-wing organizations in the United States. And this is what they are writing about the black Hebrew Israelites. That Amber Rochelle sits there and will not admit that these cats are racist when the Southern Poverty Law Center is. So you don't believe that. Here's in CNN about that. Who are the black Hebrew Israelites? In 2019, a man suspected killing a police officer and 3 people at a kosher market in New Jersey City was linked Wednesday to the black Hebrew Israelite movement, a law enforcement said. David N. Anderson appeared to have a connection to the movement, although the extent of involvement is unclear, the law enforcement official told the New York Times. Black Hebrew Israelite movement has a complex history in the United States with sects and branches splintering to dozen branches and theological disputes. The movement, which is now best known for its confrontational brand of street preaching and urban areas, dates back to the 19th century. What unites most black Israelites is the belief they are true descendants of the biblical Jews. Some sects within the movement of disdain of modern white Jews. Expert claims they're a model of a religion for themselves. Black Hebrew Israelites claim to be the 12 tribes of Israel who do that. They believe that the Jewish people are fake Jews, imposters, and they will be supplanted by them in the future. They also believe that God will take whites, who are these groups who consider spawns of the devil, into their slaves and forced into eternal servitude. That is CNN in 2019. Right about the time this was at, and Amber Rochelle will not call these guys a racist organization. Now, if that's what you want on fairness, if that's what the definition of fairness, as some people are claiming, then count me out as fairness, because the dictionary of definition in Webster's is totally off the mark. Because anybody, after reading that, and would be supporting this kind of stuff.
But does she support it, though?
She said that. She wouldn't even declare them as racist.
But maybe she just said no, but then at that point you need to just
and
say
well, we're going to go back into that.
Are we?
The whole thing is history, because this is what I've said. This has been a long time going on. This has been going on for decades. You're seeing the culmination of this. Does this look like the lieutenants that have been pushing this stuff? You ask them a direct question on the facts, on what it is, and they will spout you're a racist. Or they will change the subject you're doing. How many times have you seen it in the dominant media? How many times have you seen it, especially from the left, of Gavin Newsom on his electricity stuff? We're going to get into that. He blames everyone else but himself, when every freaking expert on the deal that's quoted in the New York Times, Forbes, and Politico, and everything else says it's on your watch, Newsom, and you knew what was going on, and you ignored it. You're killing the people. This is the kind of stuff that you see each and every day. We're going to go back to the clip. This is a systemic racism one of that. When I ask her the question, do you know what the definition of systemic is?
When you have seen racism, it's not always exactly easily explained. You just know it when you see it.
Yeah, I get. Oh, well, let's see that. The Hebrew brother. Do you believe that anybody other than a very light white tone or light brown skin can be a racist?
This is another conversation we can get into. Racially prejudiced? Yes. Racist? No.
Yes. You don't believe them, the Black Brotherhood Hebrews are racist. With the language and
Racially
stuff that they
prejudiced,
said.
yes.
No, racist.
No, not racist.
They are racist to the freaking
You
core.
have to have power in a system to be racist.
It doesn't, no, that's baloney.
It's
a
true.
racist is a race. That is not the definition of a racist. A racist discriminates against the color of your skin. And that's what they did.
The Webster's
And
dictionary doesn't define real life.
Then Webster's can stick their dictionary up their ass.
I'm just saying.
Because
an
that is
internet
the definition of a racist. You are doing it on the color of your skin, but
it's a lot more complicated than just than
BS.
black and white.
You have every freaking opportunity in this country to do whatever the frick you want. There is nothing holding you back. Zero. Nothing.
I disagree.
To claim this stuff and do it is going to kill us. Because I've said this. When we stop with the racism and this rhetoric and this stuff, is the day we'll turn this country around. Because if this stuff still keeps going on, it will all be in there. And this false narrative crap that keeps going on is what's holding,
you know what keeps it going? Are
back.
people that deny that it's happening.
There you go. Can you believe that? I said it's going back in January. I said you guys keep this up. You're going to run a powder keg that's going to explode. You keep irritating it. She will not admit. Again, I said it right in there. The Black Israeli, and that's why I played this backwards. So she had 2 times to admit that what was the truth was the truth, and what fairness is, and what systemic is, and she does not know the definition of systemic, but she used it constantly and had no idea what the term meant. But even more important, which even I didn't remember that, but that's what I've said it a lot. I didn't remember that I said it specifically in there, but that's why I looked at her. I said, you that are pushing this stuff are going to cause something you're going to regret. You're going to do this, and what do you see? You see rioting in our streets over this, over a false deal.
But that's when you need to just accept that people are going to think their way. You're never going to change anybody's mind. But sitting in that video, that clip. Look at your hair, though, by the way. Anyways, sitting in that clip, you're getting so.
That's in the winter.
I know. But you're sitting in that video and you're getting all worked up. You're never going to change the way that woman ever thinks.
I agreed. But those that listen to this woman and say this woman is fairness and this is the definition we should be, that's what you want to see? You want to accept? And if you support that, that's what you're supporting.
Yeah, but us bringing it up and calling it out on the show, I mean, is that any better? I liked my clip better.
We're gonna play that because it goes into part of what we're gonna show you ones of what they're calling this stuff out. And when you go to that and you do this, and that's
no, but I see but people don't know. You're talking on something that people don't know. They haven't seen it. They don't know the example of how people in that group talk to each other.
It was, but we're doing it all. We're doing it every day. It's the national tone. You listen to the Democratic National Convention. They're talking about the same crap. Where do you think they get it? This is what's on the dominant media every day.
I only watch our show. That's where I get our news from. That explains it.
Of that.
No, I just...
Find the point on there where you wanted to because that was great. These guys were... this is the Hodge twins. Who is Cardi B? Who in the heck is Cardi B?
She is... she is a singer. She's like a rapper. She's great, though.
This is a Hodge twins. We played them before. But what was Cardi B talking about? Was she at the Democratic National Convention talking about this stuff?
No, she interviewed him.
Oh, she interviewed.
That was an interview.
An interview with the Hodge twins.
No, she interviewed Joe Biden.
Oh, Joe Biden. Okay. So let's let her rip.
I thought this was great. I mean,
everybody.
I don't know if
Name me one law that is not fair to black people. Just one. We'll wait. Brr. we're going to be waiting all day, because all laws are equal and fair to everybody. All laws are written not based on people's skin color. It's written based on what's right and wrong. Anybody that starts off an interview and says, I just want Trump out of there, you should not be interviewing anybody, especially when it's regarding politics. You should just stick to stripping and rapping. Brr. Amazing, man. This whole interview was just disgusting. It just shows you how the left will go stoop very low for a vote, man. They will do anything for a vote. They know they can't talk on policy. Yeah, Democrats haven't figured out. If you want more votes, listen to the American people what they want. You don't pander to them. Yeah. So Democrats go to Cardi B because they know she's got 70 million fans on Facebook. On Instagram. On social media, she's got hundreds of millions. Let's go talk to her fans. And because I come off and tell them, oh, I'm a big fan. He has a sister there. Oh, she's a big fan. Joe Biden's daughter ain't listening to Cardi B. He's lying to you. He's just lying and pandering, so he's trying to get Cardi B's fans to go vote.
Distancing, stuff like that. Why do I say that? And I didn't even know who the hell Cardi B was. I guess she must be popular. She's got 70 million fans.
I'll pull up some photos.
Whatever.
But my point, the thing that I love the most about that was at the beginning when we started, they said, at what do they put racism on a color to? Like she wanted, in the interview, you guys got to go back and watch it. It's kind of a long interview, but she says that she wants it to cater to black people. She wants rules and all this special stuff for black, but they're saying, where is there any color involved in any laws or any fairness? Every law is for every color, every race, every individual. It's not for one specific one. But now you're saying you want it fair and equal, but you want certain things just for African Americans. Where is that fair?
Exactly. And that's why I did that, because Amber Rochelle gets on there. Same thing. Trump is bad. Trump is racist. He's an idiot. Just rips him. Not one redeeming quality ever. Even of that, I don't care about Obama personally, but I said the one thing I agreed to with him on was nuclear power. If I agree with somebody, I don't care if you're agreeing with a horn sticking out of your head. But if you disagree, you're going to have no probably fiercer opponent than me.
That is Cardi B.
Oh yeah, well that's about right. Of that. But this is like the Hodge twins said, and this is the same thing. It doesn't matter if it's coming from Cardi B or whatever, or Amber Rochelle. This is or the Democratic National Convention that you're listening to that's going on right now. You're hearing the same stuff. They don't want to talk about facts. Amber says that. I don't care about the statistics I pick out and want to pick and choose are fine. But when you give me the rest of the story or the whole thing, I don't want to hear that, because it doesn't back up.
And like David types in right now, Cardi B admitted to drugging guys and robbing them. So my thing, okay, she could be probably a great, and I don't want to sit here and bash her. I mean, maybe she's a great singer. I like some of her songs. Maybe she's a great person. I don't personally know. But running for presidency, why would you want to have someone interview and support you that is admitting to drugging men, stealing their money, and was a stripper and looks very provocative most of the time in her photo post?
Would you like me to answer that?
Please.
Because they don't care.
Regardless if you care or not, but she did a sit-down interview with the person running for presidency. Why would you want that supporting you? It should be more professional. It should be more,
because they will lose.
But then all these photos are coming out of him kissing younger women, like on the head and being all touchy, and then you're going to have her interview you, who used to be a stripper?
Because they don't care.
But that just doesn't make you look good.
They are all about power and control.
I don't know.
As hundreds of it. Tom Del Beccaro, The Divided Era. Mason Weaver's been on the show. Susan Shelley will tell you that coming in. They've got, but Cliff Cummings and everybody we've had of John Copa. Well, John sticks to the other stuff. But Kenny White. Practically every. James Patrick Riley. I don't care who it is. We've been telling you for decades of what's been going on with this stuff. And they don't care. Newsom doesn't care. Newsom does not care about you. He's looking to hose you under the workbench. They want to confine you. They want to take their opportunity to enrich themselves. How much you think this year Gavin Newsom has raised, because he's in the position of governor, has raised for his nonprofit?
I'm sorry, what? I was reading a comment.
Gavin Newsom, how much you think he's raised for his nonprofit this year?
I don't know.
$109 million so far.
And he
What's
got a
the
mansion?
salary? I bet you his wife, his kids, and everybody
And a
else are
mansion?
getting tons and millions of dollars of that. You want to talk when I talk about the mass deal, and I jokingly said about the stuff going on? I don't know why he's coming on. You got to hit him on that. He's coming in on the wrong on his deal. But no, wait, about the mass deal, the $1 billion, and we just have kicked in another $500 million to the phony, or the company, not phony company, but the broker company that did the $1.5 billion masks that do not work and will not work. You don't think these guys are laughing at you each and every day when you're buying this crap?
1 minute.
I've told you don't let the cancer of California get up to the get the jingle palette up there of California, spread across the rest of the nation. I told you we're the crash test dummies for everybody. We test pilot this stuff for everyone else, and then when they perfect it in California and do that, then they spread it across the nation. This is orchestrated. On that, you can see the examples from your community all the way to the national level, and that's why I put this stuff out. It's happening here. It's happening throughout the Inland Empire, to Washington,
20
D.C.,
seconds.
to Vermont, to everywhere where you're seeing this is going on. And if you don't
10
stop
seconds.
it, your future is in peril.
Expressed are those of the program producer and are not endorsed by this station. Opinions expressed are not necessarily those of radio station KMET, its management, employees, or affiliates.
There's that funky slide guitar music that comes on every Monday through Friday at 5:30 p.m. on the Mighty Red.
$14.90
On a
Wattage
Wattage Wednesday. There you
Wednesday.
go. Yeah, that was a good one. And that's apropos for because we're going through the electricity stuff. If you didn't check the first half hour of the show, I think it's very important because we break down a lot of this stuff. And again, you're going to be amazed to those that didn't hear that. You're going to be amazed at what I predicted, what I told you back in January 2019, and how it is. And it's in practically every community in the United States. This stuff, the riots, the COVID, the whole stuff, the stay at home at schools, the lockdowns and everything, we're all in, those plans were all in place, maybe not specifically. They were just like Rahm Emanuel says, never let a good crisis go to waste. They were just working for the prime opportunity to stick you with this. And in this, it's very important right now in this, if you don't, time is getting short to stem the tide. And if we don't do it, we're going to lose this at our peril. Yes?
Really quick. And I'm just reading these comments. I'm trying to keep up
Yeah.
with all of them. I mean, some people are writing them in lengthy and fast. But someone writes in saying that Trump said to 3 congresswomen to go back to where you came from. Sorry to break it to you, but that's racist because they didn't agree with something. But I don't get how that's racist. That's just saying if you don't like it, then leave.
Yes. What about all the...
But I don't know the whole story, so I'm not...
Well, it doesn't matter. I mean, Obama comes in mostly, but when Trump comes in, how many people were saying, I'm leaving, especially probably Cardi B, I don't know if she did, but
I don't get how that's
usually
racist.
Streisand or one of them, oh, I'm leaving the country because we're all, because, and they never do. But They're the ones. I don't hear any castigating of that. And it's true. If you don't like it in the United States, there's airplanes that go out, boats, leave. There's nothing racist about that. If you think it's that bad in the United States, go to Turkey or Ethiopia.
Because he said it to only people of color.
But say it. I don't care. Well, there's one that. Were they complaining about it? You don't like
that comment right there, though.
You think the United States is a racist country, systemic? Then I'm asking why the hell would you be here? Go to where it's not.
Where isn't it, though? I think that people are just angry at everybody, and
yes, they perpetuate that because the only way they can control you is fear. We're going to have Susan Shelley coming on here, as we usually do, every week on that. We're going to get into the amazing thing that Hair Gel said at his presser today on that, and her very great column that she had on that, and hopefully with that. And hopefully we'll have tomorrow on John Capella, Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association, because they had a really big, I think, win on this. But as we usually do once a week, she's an editorial writer for the Press Enterprise, San Bernardino Sun, Redlands Daily Facts, and Inland Daily Bulletin, and a gazillion more newspapers all across Southern California. But as I said, more important in my mind, Vice President of the Howard Jarvis Taxpayers Association, Susan Shelley. Welcome to Newswire Daily with Stephanie and Roy.
Stephanie, great to be with you.
On the whole deal, and I want to get the one column you wrote this weekend was absolutely fantastic. But I want to start with this. Governor Hairgel, the warden, Gavin Newsom, held a presser today talking about the wildfires and the electricity blackouts and COVID-19 and everything else. He said last Monday that he did not know that there was a crisis going on, or we potentially had threats of this on the he was never warned that we may have electricity blackouts on September 18th. The ISO, the Independent Service Operator, which runs the grid, is it's a government agency, but it's supposed to be independent on what's going on. They, in September 18th, 2019, the head of that agency gave a report with a Zoom meeting with the legislature, Newsom, and all those clowns in there, and told them exactly. He said, starting in 2020.
Oh, my.
The potential of this was going to happen. If there was a heat wave, there was going to be electricity shortages, and it was because of your screwball AB 32 and not Leclerc cutting the forest, and everybody, the cap and trade and everything you've been doing. Can we pull up the Gavin Newsom interview, because I want to run this, or the presser today.
I don't know where it's at.
Yes, it's right behind this. Because he is still blaming everyone, and you're going to be amazed at who he's blaming or why we're in this condition, when every expert that I've in the New York Times, in Forbes, in Politico, they've interviewed every expert on energy policy, and they have all, without question, blamed Gavin Newsom and his greeny energy policies for what's going on. But here's Gavin Newsom today at the presser. This was the last question from a reporter. He's asking about battery storage and solar and why all this stuff is going on. Here he goes.
Pushing forward our efforts on more storage capacity, but also looking at reliability defined more broadly as a bridge, as an insurance to get us where I believe the vast majority of Californians, and I believe the vast majority of Americans, want us to go. We're not going to back away from those long-term commitments. The solution to addressing the ravages of climate change is not to make the climate change even more acute and more devastating by continuing to drill, continuing to go back into the old ways of doing business that by definition have created the conditions that exist and persist today.
There you go. If for one thing, he's telling you we're not backing off of this, and it's everything that we've done up to this point has caused this. When every expert that has been interviewed in this past few days has said it is exactly his policies that he has put Jerry Brown and the goofball California legislator have subjected the poor 40 million Californians to this, to the point of shutting off their power now, and on this, and now he's blaming everybody but himself.
Well, you're absolutely 100% right. This has been the risk all along, because solar power and wind power are intermittent. They're not reliable. They're not steady. And so you have to have these plants behind them that run on natural gas. And the trouble with that is that it's expensive to keep them going if you don't let them sell any power. And so we have this stupid state law that's taking us to, I think, 100% renewables by 2045. And now I think we have to be at 60%. It's some crazy percentage. So all of these utility companies are required to buy solar energy and wind energy, but then they have to buy backup energy. They have to have I forget the term for it, they have to have the generators that are standing by to run in case the sun goes down, because sometimes the sun goes down. And, we saw this with the ridiculous plant that was built out at the Nevada border, when they put these mirrors that are the size of garage doors on stands, and they all point up to this tower that has liquid in it, and supposedly you boil the water or whatever it is, and it turns the turbines, and it generates the electricity. But then the sun goes down, and then it's cold in the desert, and then they had to run natural gas to keep the water warm, so otherwise it would spend the whole next day getting up to temperature before it would generate any electricity, and then the sun would go down again. This whole plan, which was sitting in a drawer until Barack Obama decided he needed shovel-ready projects for the stimulus, and they took this out of the drawer, and they said, well, look, it's all ready to go. Why hasn't this been built? Well, the reason it hasn't been built is the sun goes down, and they built it anyway with billions of dollars of tax money, and it's an idiotic waste. And all of solar power is really like that. The sun goes down, and then you need natural gas. But if you don't let the energy companies, if you don't let the utilities sell the power from natural gas-run plants, they lose money. And then you wind up transferring those charges to everybody else. So even solar customers end up paying like a connection fee or something that's got another name, which covers these costs. There's no way around it.
It is. And the aforementioned Barack Obama, and the one thing I agreed with him, he's the biggest advocate, or big advocate for nuclear power, but as president, he really didn't do anything with it, which he should have done. And if he would have, we wouldn't be talking about this. Because nuclear power is the one that generates almost zero waste or greenhouse gases or anything else.
Right, or large hydro. Large hydro projects are totally renewable. They're totally clean. They don't produce greenhouse gases if you're concerned about that. Nuclear doesn't produce greenhouse gases if you're concerned about that. I'm personally not concerned about that, because all of California is just 1% of greenhouse gases globally, and we could shut down the whole state. It would have no effect on the climate. So all we're doing is charging ourselves a lot of money and creating this risk, because they don't want to build what's called a peaker plant. A peaker plant goes online during a week like this, when everybody's got 106-degree temperatures, or 112 or 120-degree temperatures in the deserts, and you need more electricity. Not to mention the fact that people are working at home, and that's probably contributing to greater use of electricity. All this distancing, you don't have a bunch of people in an office building. You have everybody at home running computers separately. So maybe that creates more energy use. I'm not sure.
And air conditioning and everything else. Right. You imagine a office building that has 100 people in it uses a lot of air conditioning. But those 100 people are at home using that same air conditioning. It probably uses 2 or 3 or 10 times more electrical power to do that. On top of that, we are paying Nevada and Arizona to take our power out, because solar produces power, peak power, at around 1 o'clock. Our peak power usage is from 5 to 8. like you said, the
Exactly.
sun's going down and the solar panels don't work and all that, and everybody's turning on the power and there is no power. This has been warned of all that stuff. This is what the greening policy has done to us, driven us 115% higher as our industrial electricity rates than the national average in California, and going higher and will go higher because and you tell me if I challenge anybody, if Gavin Newsom's not sitting up there flat lying when he says he didn't know when he did, and you're trying to blame everybody else for the policies that are now backfiring big time on us, then I want to show you, because I've read every article in every major publication on that is quoted. Every expert says this is squarely on Gavin Newsom.
Absolutely it is. And these were policies that were put in place under Jerry Brown also. But Gavin Newsom is fully on board with it. And this has always been the risk, that if you switch over to renewable energy, you do not have the capacity to scale it up when you need it. And when you need it, you need it. You can't just say, well, we're going to conserve electricity when it's 108 degrees outside. You just can't. And it's so unnecessary. It doesn't accomplish anything. It doesn't have any effect on the climate. And all they're doing is harassing and torturing people and charging them way too much. And now they want to get rid of natural gas altogether and just have everything be electric. Well, does that look like a good idea this week? And then in addition to the power cuts for overextending our electricity supply, which is just a Venezuela kind of problem, in addition to that, we have the wildfire consequences of really bad management policies where we've stopped doing controlled burns the same way we used to because of air quality regulations. That comes from the California Air Resources Board. They have what they decided, I think in 2000, they called them smoke management guidelines. And they essentially stopped what used to be a really routine practice that the fire department would do and the Forest Service would do. They would go through and they would burn up areas of dry brush and create fire breaks. And that was a regular routine maintenance that they did to prevent fires from getting completely out of control when they happened. And they stopped doing that, and the fuel built up, and then shortly thereafter we started to have fires that were much worse. So did they say, well, gosh, maybe we should get rid of these smoke management guidelines because they're causing more problems than they're solving? No. They said, we're having big fires because climate change, and therefore we need to double down on solar and wind power. And now we've got this. So this is all just policy-driven, stupid decisions, idiotic, blithering idiocy. And it can all be fixed. It can all be reversed. But the consequences, if you don't fix it, they spill over into all these other areas, like the price of homeowners insurance and all these other effects, like poverty in California growing because people can't pay these utility bills, and it's so expensive to live here. Even if your house is paid off, just you get those utility bills, and they're just crushing. And it's because we're paying too much because of idiotic policies. The same with water policy, idiotic. We have this wonderful water infrastructure that was built for us in the 30s and the 60s, and what are we doing with it? We're shutting it down while we count the number of salmon, and we only let trickles of water go to the farms in the cities further south of the Delta, and that's a man-made decision which is causing drought. And then they decide, well, okay, here's what we'll do. We'll do toilet to tap, and we'll build all of this water reclamation, and we'll do the groundwater, we'll do this, and well, that's incredibly expensive, and who pays for that? Well, it's on your water bill. And this is what's happening in California. Idiotic policies with terrible long-term consequences, and all these consequences are arriving now.
It is, and I want to get to your column on that because it was mighty impressive. Tell us what the corrupt politicians are up to now.
You know, one of the things that has astonished me since I started paying attention, since I got actively involved in public affairs type issues, which I never used to, but then things got terrible, and I said, where is everybody? And I got involved, and boy, sometimes I'm sorry. One of the things that made me sorry is when I found out that things that are illegal in other states are legal here. And one of the things, we're not talking here about marijuana, we're talking about extortion. We're talking about politicians picking up the phone, calling a major business like AT&T, like Disney, like iHeartMedia, calling up a business and saying, I really need a donation from you for this nonprofit, for this project, for my inaugural fund, to redecorate my office. I really need a donation from you. Now, if you're the CEO picking up that call, and you've got all of these different businesses that are either regulated by the state or taxed by the state or in some way affected by the governor's pen, no is not the right answer when the governor asks you for money. That is definitely the wrong answer. So they write checks. They write checks for millions of dollars in some cases for these affiliated nonprofits, for the governor's office because he wants to do free advertising, for COVID, for whatever the project is. The question is not why is the money needed. The question is why is the money paid? And it's paid because this is extortion. Now, in Illinois, a state that's famous for putting its governors in jail, there would be an investigation of this. And the FBI would probably come in with handcuffs. You can't do this. You can't call businesses that have business before the state and say, I need a donation. You can't do that. In California, it's legal. It's called a behested payment. I'm not making this up. It's called a behested payment, as in it's made at the behest of a public official. So there's a form that you fill out if you're a public official for the behested payment. Everything over $5,000 has to be publicly reported. And you can find these. You can find them on the state's website. You can find them on the city websites. You can find them on the county websites. Google behested payments for whichever area or person you're looking up. And you will find, for instance, that Kamala Harris behested $1.8 million in total contributions for her inaugural fund and whatever else she was doing when she was Attorney General of California. Did it hurt her career? Hardly. And Gavin Newsom, who in the past had behested maybe $3 million, maybe $12 million, this year he's behested $109 million. And a lot of that was shaking people down to get free stuff for the COVID pandemic response. So he wanted advertising, or some would call it propaganda ads, and he wanted lots of it. And he wanted them to donate that time and those billboards and whatever else. And they did, because no is never the right answer when you get the shakedown call from a government official. Eric Garcetti, the mayor of Los Angeles, got $5 million from a foreign country when he asked for it. The nation of Qatar wrote a check for $5 million to the, quote, Mayor's Fund of Los Angeles. I ask you, is there a problem here?
Exactly. And this is, you want to know why COVID is still going on? Well, as Susan Shelley pointed, well, Gavin Newsom was shaking him down for $12 million. He's used it this year in 5 months by using COVID to shake down $109 million. You want to know why you're being locked down and your electricity is being shut off and your schools are closed and everything else? Because that man is getting ultra freaking rich.
We really don't know where the money goes. You know, it says goes to the governor's office, and maybe it's all spent on worthy causes, but I doubt it. And there's just really no way. There's no way to police this kind of thing because it's all legal. So they disclose it, and they say, yes, we've used this money for our health education effort. And how in the world do you know where it went? I mean, they could pay it to something that's run by a family member. This is legal also. You can have these foundations that are run by family members of the public official, and the behested payment can go to that foundation or nonprofit or whatever, and the person who's a family member is drawing a big salary from it. So effectively, the public official is shaking down a business to provide money to a family member. And they call it a behested payment to a nonprofit, but that's what's going on. There's no regulation about conflict of interest or anything like that. As long as they report it on the form, it's all legal. But only in California. You do this anywhere else, you're going to prison.
You know where they learned a lot of this stuff?
No.
2 words.
Monster movies?
Nope, the Clinton Foundation.
The Clinton Foundation, I think you're right. That was similar because, funny enough, once the Clintons were out of power, their fundraising really fell off. People weren't so motivated to give donations. Several people wrote to me and they said, why didn't you write about Republicans in California and behested payments? And the answer is,
what Republicans?
There aren't any Republicans, and also they don't have any power. So they can't really behest money out of companies because why would you give money to someone who can't do anything for you or to you? So the behested payments come from the power players. I believe in Los Angeles, Mitch Englander had some pretty extensive behested payments, and now he's pleaded guilty to, I believe, misleading the FBI during a corruption investigation. So he's one who didn't get away with it, and he is a Republican, so that explains it because they don't go after the Democrats in the state. Pretty frustrating.
Yes, it is. It's absolutely amazing. And when I read that Newsom shook us down for $109 million, I'm thinking, ooh, I mean, that even kind of surprised me that he was able to leverage this COVID deal into that. And yeah, whether it is him or his family members or whatever, or close associates that are going or getting that, all you got to do, as the old saying, follow the money trail. You'll figure it out. Susan Shelley, thanks for being on. We'll do it again next week. Oh,
Thanks
go ahead.
very much. You guys
well, wait
take
a
care.
second.
What? Wait.
Yes, and yes, the lights are going to go down in the city in the future, because this whole train wreck on this stuff, I think we're just in the beginning stages of it. Again, thanks again for being on. We'll do it again next week, Susan.
Thanks, Roy. Take care.
Man, see, that floored me. You don't think Newsom's been able to leverage this COVID deal to raise $109 million for his nonprofit? I couldn't have said it better.
People don't want to accept it. They don't want. They don't want to. I don't know why.
Reality's a tough thing. Pretty much. I mean, and the ones you can, none other example. Deborah Craig was one of the big leaders to recall Tom Owings. It happens in your community. Tom Owings was a mayor here, was one of the guys who was...
Wasn't I thought he was great.
Yes,
wasn't he?
And
I mean, I personally
he was
don't know,
one
but
who
in general.
understood and was trying to straighten out the mess of the things that were going on in Moreno Valley. And just as back then, now is it today? Look at what's happening in your community all the way to the national level. It never stops. You're exact. Don't believe 98.7% of what anyone says. Go check out the facts or look behind the hood of what's actually going on.
I mean, you really need to, but I think a lot of people, maybe they're too trusting. Maybe they don't want to believe that there's bad stuff going on in their community. People don't want to deal with change because that requires them working.
Of that, no, it's a as I've said, after the fact is too late. You know why some of us go up there and do this or say these things and bring these things out? It's because of this, because after the fact is too late.
Right.
And if you don't do it, then you're not going to like the end result for that.
Couldn't have said it better.
We're out of time with that.
We're gone.